Hello, Newport. Hello, Rhode Island. Hello, Rhode Island.
It pays highly.
So I'm Jeff Mignall. I'm the Executive Director of Climate Action Rhode Island, or CARI. So we're Rhode Island's largest grassroots organization dedicated to bringing along a just, clean, equitable, and livable future.
Come on closer, we don't bite. Come on up.
Yeah, come on.
Yes, come on up. Hey, Steve.
How you doing? I recognize that voice.
So one thing, we have a lot of yes to win signs. If you're interested, we're asking $5 or $10 or more. Donations are, greatly appreciated. And thank you for taking your time to come here and express your displeasure at the latest outrage from Donald Trump. Since he's been elected, it's been like an outrage a day, or two, or three, and these outrages affect all Americans, whether it's his attack on democracy, or science, or immigrants, or minorities, or the environment. But there's probably not been one of his outrageous acts that has directly affected Rhode Island as much as this one.
Right.
Stopping all work on Revolution Wind.
Right.
It's insane and idiotic and immoral, and it doesn't make economic sense even. So I could go on and on, but we have a great set of speakers today. So I want to first turn this over to Kristen Roseland, who's an energy policy analyst, but also the lead of our fantastic Yes to Win team. And that team, plus our mobilization team, plus our colleagues and a bunch of other local organizations we work with, have brought this rally together in just a few days. Yeah, it's fantastic work. So anyway, here's Christian to run the day.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Hello, Newport. How are we feeling out there? All right, yes to win. Yes to win. And I don't know about all of you, but I'm feeling pretty angry today. My name is Christian Roseland. I'm the lead of Climate Action Rhode Island's Yes to Win campaign. I'm going to be your MC for today, and I'm going to introduce the speakers. But before we get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about why we are here and what the issues are that are at stake. The first, this is about the workers, okay? First and foremost, we are here to support the more than 1,000 workers that are in danger of being put out of work through the illegal stop work order issued by the Trump administration. Okay? There is no clean energy plant. There is no wind, there is no solar, there is no batteries that are built without workers. So first and foremost, we're here to support those workers. This is also about power prices. Every person in Rhode Island, including those who oppose these wind farms, is burdened with high winter power prices. And they're only going to get worse if we don't finish the Revolution Wind plant and put it online, because right now the gas industry has a stranglehold on this state, and it's gas prices that set wholesale power prices and that are driving your winter power bills up. Third, this is about academic freedom. The local pawns of the MAGA cult, some of which are with us here today, are targeting scientists, academics, and institutions that expose their lies, their connections to the National Climate Denial Network, and their connections to the oil and gas industry. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a nation that's ruled by the lies of the dear leader. I want to live in a nation that is ruled by facts, evidence, and science-based decision-making. because this is also about our children's future. We need offshore wind for zero carbon winter power. We need it to power our society. We need it to power all the heat pumps that are being put in. We need to power all of the electric vehicles that are coming online. Wind complements solar because solar is great, but solar produces more electricity in the spring and the summer, and we need power in the winter too, and that's where offshore wind shines. We need this power so that we can move to a zero carbon economy, not just for us, but for our children and for our children's children, because they're the ones that are going to have to live in the mess that we're making. We also need it so that we can meet our goals, our state mandated goals, including the Act on Climate and the 100% Renewable Energy Standard. And I'm so happy to be here today with the lead author of the 2022 Act on Climate. Give it up for Don Oyer. Because ultimately, pardon?
21.
Thanks. So ultimately, this is about vision. The Trump administration and its pawns locally here want a hotter, more dangerous future so that they don't have to look at wind turbines. And so that their friends, the oil executives in Texas and Louisiana, can get rich at our expense. That's not the future I want. We want a different future. We want a future of good, family-sustaining jobs. We want lower electric bills. And most importantly, we want a livable future for our children and for our children's children. And so with that, I'd like to start this by turning this over to the man who has been the lead of our state's resistance to the Trump administration's illegal, unconstitutional power grabs. Let's give it up for Attorney General Peter Noronha.
Hi, everybody. Love the enthusiasm. You know, I didn't go to the office today, and so maybe that's obvious from what I'm wearing. I spent the day on the water, so you get me dirty and salty and maybe a little bit smelly, but you get what you get on a late August day. I have a really small sailboat, so small it doesn't have an engine. And this is its hull on my hat because I love that boat. I love it almost as much as I love my family. I've had it for 20 years. And today I went around Connecticut Island. I try to do that once a year, okay? But there's no engine on that boat, okay? I got all the way around that island on wind power. Right? I didn't add to our fossil fuel emissions. I felt the power of the wind. I particularly felt the power of the wind, okay, when the wind blew up at around 2 o'clock and I had to bring my jib in because there was too much wind out there. And so the bottom line is the notion that we're not going to rely on what's free and clean and will protect our future and our children's future and our grandchildren's future is just stupid. It's just stupid. You know, I listen sometimes to Gene Valicenti on the radio in the morning, and you know, he plays this song about me called My Neurona, that My Sharona song from when I was a kid, 7th or 8th grade. I mean, Gene is bringing back my 8th grade memories. But he also said, oh, Nerona's going to bring another lawsuit. He's going to bring another lawsuit, as if those lawsuits aren't benefiting Rhode Islanders. But they are. They are. They're preserving, okay, the money that we use to protect ourselves from pandemics. That lawsuit released the money that went to schools that are opening this week and next week all across Rhode Island. It's protecting money for health research all across this country. It will, in the end, I believe, preserve our nation's citizenship for anybody who is born in this country, despite this president's attempt to change that. And so those lawsuits are right on the law, and they're right for Rhode Islanders and Americans. And so what am I saying? What I'm saying is this. I had one interruption on that sale. I told my office, listen, I'm supposed to be on vacation this week. I was in the office yesterday. That's fine. It's part of the job. But today, just try to give me some distance. I had one call, and that was with my counterpart in Connecticut, William Tong. William Tong is an amazing attorney general. He went to Brown, for those of you who don't know. He really cares about the environment. He gives me a lot of shit about some worms down at the salt ponds that come in for the stripers, and they're not doing what they should be doing because we're not treating those ponds the way we should. But that's a whole other story. But the bottom line is this. A.G. Tong and I and our staffs had a meeting. I was somewhere around the north end. I always, by the way, if you do what I did today, always do Beaver Tail first. Don't do Beaver Tail last, because you don't know what's going to happen when you get to Beaver Tail, and then it's too late to turn back. So I was around the north end of the island, which is beautiful. We had that call. What that call was about was the same, if you'll forgive the pun, energy that all of us have to reverse this president's unlawful acts when they harm Rhode Islanders, and we have legal standing to do it. That's always what these cases are about. Is the president breaking the law? Is he harming Rhode Islanders? And do we have legal standing to do something about it? And the bottom line is this. From a man who believed, remember this, I thought about this today. You got a lot of time to think when you're out on a boat alone for 5 hours. I was thinking about what I would say and what Donald Trump's doing. And what Donald Trump, in his first term in office, remember he wanted to bring back the incandescent light bulb, right? Something, look, kudos to Edison 100 years ago, but a incandescent light bulb, what's this thing? It's like 99% heat and 1% light. So the bottom line is, I guess we should expect this from a president who wants to keep the incandescent light bulb. But the bottom line is this. This is energy that works. This is energy that we need. This is energy that Rhode Islanders are relying on. And as a legal matter, that reliance matters. And so you can expect from us, if there's any way possible, and I believe that there is, yet another lawsuit against this president for violating the law and harming Rhode Islanders. And we're going to have standing to do something about it. And what this is about, folks, whether it's this or any other issue, isn't trying to appease this administration, because that doesn't work. He's a bully. He'll take your lunch money today. He'll take your house tomorrow. What this is about is the fight. And if you don't have fire in your belly, we can't beat Trump. So keep that fire. Fight for wind. Fight for what's right. Fight for Rhode Island. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Let's give it up again for A.G. Naronha. What the hell would we do if we didn't have him? All right. Now I want to introduce someone who I'm lucky to know as a friend who has led this state legislatively to do something about the climate crisis. And that means being the lead author of the Act on Climate and also helping to push through the 100% renewable energy standard, which are the two most significant commitments that we have made to fight the climate crisis to date. It's a great honor to introduce State Senator Dawn Oyer.
Thank you, Christian, and thank all of you for being here. When we signed Act on Climate, it was just across the street. We signed it at Bowen's Wharf because here in Newport, we are seeing the effects of climate change. Our businesses, our communities are at risk right now, today, because of the risks of climate change, the impacts of climate change. So that was a symbolic signing here in Newport. So I'm so happy is not the word, because I'd like to not need to have this rally today, but I appreciate the significance of holding this rally up the hill from where we signed Act on Climate a few years ago. Now, you're all here because you support offshore wind. You know how utterly absurd and stupid this decision was to stop a project that's 80% complete. Like, let's just dump money in the toilet and flush. Like, who does that, right? You all know, we all know why this is problematic. What What I want to talk about today, because this is a rally, what I want to talk about today is the importance of you all and the importance of states in pushing back against the Trump administration in advancing our climate goals and environmental policy across the board. So I appreciate the credit that I get for Act on Climate, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't work my ass off to get that done, because I absolutely did. But that credit is shared. Nothing big ever gets done alone. I truly believe that. I am a movement-centered person, and I will say, this woman standing right here to my left, Lauren Karsten, without her, it wouldn't have gotten through the House. And for years, I also want to give a shout out to Leader Blazejewski, because for a number of years we put in legislation that was along the same lines that Chris carried. And then he passed the mantle to Lauren, and Lauren got it across the finish line. So it was a group effort in the General Assembly. And I will also tell you, one of the key elements of Act on Climate that's incredibly important is something that's not unique in environmental legislation, and that's the right for private action, the right to sue the government if we're not doing the right thing by the environment and by the people we represent. And I know he spoke, and he's gotten a lot of accolades, and they're all well-deserved. But I will say that Attorney General Noronha came in at key points during the negotiations of Act on Climate to make sure that he supported it, he shared his confidence on it, his assessment from his office, that not only should we do it, but that we needed to do it. So thank you, Noronha. Thank you, Attorney General Noronha, for your work in getting it across the finish line. But Revolution Wind isn't just about Act on Climate. As Christian mentioned, we also passed 100% renewable energy standards legislation that was championed by the Senate President Ruggiero. That was passed. We also passed legislation to do additional procurements, forcing the office to work with states in the region to procure additional offshore wind capacity. So it's a listing of things that allowed Revolution Wind to have the confidence to be able to move forward with their project that will be benefiting Rhode Island and Connecticut. Why is that important? That was state legislation that got that done. That was state legislation that moved that forward. When I spoke on the floor about Act on Climate, I talked about the innovation and the opportunity. Rhode Island is the home of the Industrial Revolution. We can and should be home to the Industrial Green Revolution. This is an opportunity, and it continues to be. But again, nothing big happens alone. And another cliche statement is that states are the laboratories of democracy. So I know that everybody is following the twists and turns and getting exhausted by the daily catastrophes that are coming out of the White House. But what I want to encourage you all to do is hone in here at home. The folks who represent you at the State House and in local governments have just as much, if not more, to do with what policies get advanced. And I'll tell you what, I am worlds apart from any of the MAGA Republicans, but at the end of the day, they also too are trying to throw everything back on the shoulders of states. We have history of success. We have history of aggressive action. We do that when we work together. I believe in us. I believe in Rhode Island. I believe in all of you, and I believe in all of us together that we can continue to push for bold action, that we can protect the progress that we've made to date, and that we do not have to listen to the alternate reality coming up to us from Washington. We know what's at stake. For our families, for our workers, for the climate, for our environment. We know what's at stake, and that's a future worth fighting for, and I'm glad to be in it with all of you.
Thank you so much, Senator Oyer. We've got some great leaders in our State House. You know, we're also lucky to live in a state where we have some very fine academic institutions and where we have a history of making decisions based upon evidence and science. I'd like to bring up one of our preeminent academics who works in this area, Dr. Stephen Porter, Brown University. Thank you.
Thanks, Christian. It's two very hard acts to follow. When I got the call yesterday asking me to come down to give a talk, I did what a professor usually does, and I threw together 70 or 80 slides to share with you, but then they told me it was outdoors and there was no slideshow, so I'm just going to wing it a little bit. I would be very happy to talk to you about the science behind this and why wind and solar are the two things we need most in the world to fight climate change. But without my slides, I'm going to tell you about something a little bit different, which is why I haven't been able to sleep since I found out about this idiotic decision. It's not because of the half-truths and quarter-truths and flat-out lies of the offshore wind opponents. I'm used to those. Those are easy to refute, if not easy to fight. It's not even because I'm surprised that this administration has taken up those half-truths and quarter-truths and flat-out lies. It's what they do every day. And if I lost sleep over every time they did that, I would be dead already from sleep deprivation. I think I'm not sleeping because someone is blocking our path to liberation. And I want to tell you what I mean by liberation, because it fits right in with what I study, but in a way maybe you don't think you wouldn't have thought of. So I study the way organisms interact with the environment, how climate shapes their world, both humans and ecosystems, and I've studied that for 20 years. And for 20 years it's been talking about how bad everything is, and how we've known about climate change since Eunice Foote's work in the 1850s, and we've detected the human imprint on climate since Guy Callender's work in 1938. And it's always been discouraging. And then about 5 years ago, this miracle started happening. Humans are insatiable users of energy. We burn coal, and we don't stop to worry about the people who die from that coal because it feeds our energy addiction. We burn gas, and we don't stop to think about the rivers we've poisoned, or the air that we've poisoned, or the earthquakes we're causing, because we need that energy. We're addicted to that energy, and that energy has brought us enormous success. For 1 million years of human history, we have depended on burning things to promote our species, and it has worked. But right now, for the first time, not just in my lifetime or your lifetime, but in the lifetime of any human being ever, we have the opportunity to escape from this Faustian bargain of burning things for energy and poisoning ourselves while we do it. We have the opportunity to switch to an energy source that doesn't destroy things, that gives us what we need, but doesn't take from us the livelihoods that we so preciously value. We have that opportunity. It's here. It's in those turbines offshore. It's in the solar panels all around the country. And what really pisses me off is that everywhere else in the world, people are capitalizing on this. Texas is no longer having blackouts with record energy demand because of wind and solar. California gas use has dropped 40% since 2023 because of wind, solar, and batteries. EU emissions fell 8% last year because of wind and solar, mostly. China installed 10 times the amount of offshore wind last year that Revolution Wind would provide to Rhode Island and Connecticut today. So what's standing in our way is just a tyrant who doesn't believe in liberation. We have the opportunity before I am dead to end combustion for energy in the state of Rhode Island. I'm hoping that's 30 years, but let's hurry up just in case, right? So let's stand together. I'm not a political activist. I don't understand how to guide crowds to action, but God bless you for being out here, and please help us. This is the critical moment in history. What a wonderful time to be alive. We can do it. Now we just need to. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Porter. And now I'd like to bring up your state representative here in Newport, someone who also helped get the Act on Climate ahead of the finish line in the House in 2021. Representative Lauren Carson.
Thank you very much, Kristen. I always say that when I picked up the Act on Climate, as Senator Oyer said, it had been being worked on for several years, and it was at the 10-yard line. And I'm not a football fan, but like any other football game, I had to take it over the last 10 yards, which for you guys and women that watch football games, you know what kind of fight that can be at the 10-yard line. So anyway, thank you, Senator Oyer, for acknowledging that. I want to recognize other House colleagues that I have here with me today. There is Representative Teresa Tanzi from South Kingstown. And then there is Representative Jen Boylan from Barrington. I want to thank them for coming. Usually I don't prepare notes, but for this event I prepared notes because I really wanted to speak to some very important issues. One of the things I want to say is I want to thank the folks at the press conference yesterday, including the Attorney General who was here. I think that the Governor, Senator Reid, Senator Whitehouse, they all did a fabulous job, if you watched it, if you saw it, if you read about it, around really identifying the issues. And obviously they're at the front line of this fight, and so I recognize their work from yesterday. This is a multi-billion-dollar project that is intended to, and eventually will, transform our energy system in the state of Rhode Island. There are already 46 turbines in place. It's 80% done. And the Bureau of Ocean Energy said that there is a challenge and it risks national security, even though the project was approved by the Department of Defense last year. So what are they talking about? I don't understand what they're talking about. If we look at the history of energy policy and wind in the state of Rhode Island, it actually started with a Republican. Governor CARI was the first one that actually went out and got the Block Island system initiated. So this has been a bipartisan issue here in the state of Rhode Island. And as Senator Oyer said, we do have a history in the state of Rhode Island, in the legislature and in the administrations, of really working toward building an energy policy. And the passage of the Act on Climate does require a coordinated energy policy and a carbon reduction plan. And these turbines were at the centerpiece, basically, of the plan right now in 2025. Thousands of jobs in Rhode Island. Kristen's absolutely right. There were also 1,500 jobs outside of the state of Rhode Island. There were people in Texas that were working on this. We're talking over 2,000 jobs. People, men and women, have worked on this project. And as we all know, and as has been said by the other folks, we have tremendous increasing demand for electric utilities, for electric houses, for electric heat pumps, for electric cars. This is what Rhode Island wants. This is what we know works. These are the policies we've put in place over the past 5 to 15 years. That's why we need this wind. You know, I want to take a minute to address the people that oppose offshore wind, because they live here, they live in Rhode Island, they live in my district. This is going to mean higher utility costs. I mean, I'm not sure that they realize that, number one. And number two, we've made this tremendous investment in this site. To stop it now and have these structures offshore, if it ultimately is stopped, to have these structures offshore that no one will maintain, they will rust, they will fall apart, they will wash up on the shore. This is worse than having the things turning and running out there. I'm not sure that they realize that. And I also want to say to them that the opposition to wind, they will say that the turbines out there are a threat to the environment. The message I want to give to them is that climate change is a threat to the environment. Let's talk about this. I want to close by saying a few things. I want to say to the federal government, tell us what the real issues are and why you're really closing this thing. Work with Rhode Island to work through this so that it can be open and we can resolve them. Move forward with the work out there. Keep thousands of people working. Lower our utility bills. Reduce carbon. Stop climate change.
Thank you so much, Representative Carson. And to close out our speaking program tonight, I want to introduce somebody who has been absolutely central to the campaign to get wind energy online in Rhode Island, someone who's worked tirelessly on this. Let's give a big round of applause for Amanda Barker at Green Energy Consumers Alliance.
Thank you so much, Christian, and thank you all so much for being here. Can we please give a big round of applause to Christian and the Yes to Win team for putting this together on short notice? The Trump administration vaguely claims national security as the reason for halting Revolution Wind. That claim holds no standing. The Pentagon already reviewed and approved that project, and the military was consulted, particularly in 2020 during the site assessment process, which was during Donald Trump's first term. In fact, not building this project is the real national security threat. Our dependence on volatile fossil fuels leaves New England exposed to global price shocks and geopolitical conflicts. When Putin invaded Ukraine, energy prices here in our region spiked. Had projects like Revolution Wind been up and running at the time, their stable, local, fixed prices would have helped mitigate that price spike we felt here. In addition to our energy independence, this project is critical for grid reliability. Yesterday, our regional electricity system operator, ISO New England, issued a statement that delays to Revolution Wind threaten grid reliability. This project has already been factored into regional planning, and electricity demand is rising. We need all the clean energy projects we can get. Blocking projects that are fully permitted, financed, 80% constructed will drive up costs, worsen the climate crisis, deter future investment, and increase blackout risks during peak demand. Orsted must challenge this stop work order, and Rhode Island, Connecticut, labor unions, and clean energy advocates must stand with them. We cannot allow political games to derail clean energy progress. Offshore wind is critical for high-quality union jobs, climate mitigation, energy security, grid reliability, affordable electricity. The list of benefits goes on and on. We must stay the course and fight back. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's give it up again for Amanda. So, I also want to note that today's event would not be possible were it not for the hard work of the Climate Action Rhode Island crew, the overwhelming majority of which are volunteers. There's only actually 2 paid staff in the whole organization. So I want to give some special shout outs to Rachel Rosnick, who's standing right here in the front, who's our comms lead for the Yes to Win campaign. For some of our super volunteers over here, like Dave Brunetti, with the Dave is at everything. Dave, these things don't come together without Dave. So big thank you to Dave. Also to Will, CARI's treasurer, who's right back here. Thank you, Will. And I'm not going to get all of our great activists on this team, but I also want to give a big thank you to Camilla and her husband Cameron, who make so much of this happen. So thank you, Camilla. Thank you, Cameron. See them where they are in the crowd here. But so yes, if you're not yet a member of Climate Action Rhode Island and you want to get involved, please sign up down there at the table. And we're still going to be here for a bit. So thank you all so much for coming out.